Hey everyone, this is Algernon, and today we're going to take a look at how to master your video game soundtracks. So let's take a look at my track here. I composed this track for a video game called King's Regicide. So let's listen to the track from the beginning. Okay, so the first thing that you have to do is you have to make sure that the meters here in the master track never go above -6 dB. So as you can see, if you play here, which is about the loudest part in the track, see, so it's about -6.8. So what you can do is you just adjust the fader here where you have your track, or you can do that in your mixing stage to make sure that you don't go above -6 dB. The reason for that is you need to have enough headroom so that when you add the effects in your mixing, in your mastering stage, then you'll have enough space. Okay, so the first thing that I did here was I added a tape machine. So this is by Slate Digital. Okay, so I'm gonna loop the track, and so for the setting here I chose the machine type to 2-track since it's for mastering. Okay, and then for the tape type you have two kinds. The top one is more colorful and it has thicker lows, and the second one, FG9, is more modern and it's more punchy. It has a more forward sound. So it depends on you, like what kind of sound you're looking for. So if you listen to the track, maybe from here, and let's set it to FG456. Okay, let's listen to it. Okay, you notice that when I bypass the track, it sounds a little bit thinner, and the lows are thinner and it's less colorful. So when I turn on the effect, it's a little bit more saturated, a little bit brighter, and the lows are a little bit thicker. So let's listen first without the tape machine. So you can hear it even in the kick drum and the snare drum that it gets thicker once the effect is on. So if I choose the FG9, it's a little bit more modern. So let's listen first without the effect. Okay, so you can clearly hear that it's a little more bright, more punchy. So there's no right or wrong here. It depends on you. You can be creative. Depends on your style. So I think for me, I'm gonna go with more modern sound. So that's for the tape type. And then you have the speed, the tape speed. So you have an option of 30 IPS or 15 IPS. So that's for the speed of the tape as it passes through the tape head. So either 30 inches per second or 15 inches per second. So the 15 inch per second option here, it has a little bit more noise. It has a fatter sound below 100 hertz. So you'll notice that the kick drum is thicker, and also the mid-range is a little bit extended. So if you have a guitar heavy song or something, then it's a nice option because the mid-range is going to be a little bit stronger. It's a good option if you want a nice presence or bite in your track. Okay, so if you go with the 30 IPS option, it has less noise, but it has also an extended high end. So the high frequencies are going to be more exposed and it's more pristine. So let's listen to the difference between these two. Let's start with 15 IPS. So listen to how much darker or fatter it sounds and how much thicker the mid-range is. And I'll switch it to 30 IPS. Okay, so it's a small difference, but it depends on you what kind of style you're looking for. So I think I'm gonna go with the 30 IPS. I want a more modern sound. I want the high end to come out a little bit more. And then I have to adjust the input so that it's hitting 0. It's okay to go above 0. You'll have more saturation, more warmth. But then if you reach 0, then you're getting that tape effect that we're looking for. So the next thing I did was to use the virtual mix rack, also by Slate Digital. Okay, so right now all of these plugins inside the rack are turned off. So the first thing I added was a virtual mix bus. So this is basically a console emulation plugin. So you can set the setting here for different consoles. So I have it set to Brit 4K-G, which is modeled after the SSL 4K-G desk. So, and then I have a drive set to 6 to give more saturation. And then I adjusted the input so that the meters reach somewhere around 0. For this specific plugin, when you're in the mastering stage, it's okay to go in the red as long as it doesn't clip. The light here doesn't clip. So let's listen. Okay, and the next step after the console emulation is saturation. So normally with the saturation plugin in Slate Digital, the meter, it overloads. So I've inserted a trimmer before the saturation, which is this one. So coming from 0 dB, I have to lower the volume a little bit so that it has a better effect on the next plugin, which is the saturation. So I'll turn on the trimmer, okay, to lower the volume a little bit. And the next one is the saturation. So I just put the saturation around 50%. Okay, and you can choose between preamp and console. So you have console saturation, and then I chose push, so it has more color than the normal one. So let's listen with first without. So I love this plugin. It really makes a big difference. It adds a lot of color, warmth in your top end, so it's really nice. So after the saturation, then I have an EQ, and my EQ is really light. So in around 12 kilohertz, I just have a little bit of a boost here. That's basically it. And then around 400 hertz, I have a small cut over there. So let's listen without the EQ. Okay, so that's just a small change there. And after the EQ, I have the bomber. Now this is a really cool plugin. The bomber adds depth in your track. There's, I don't know, there's some kind of magic going on in there. It's like a combination of compression and saturation and I guess an exciter as well. So it makes a big difference in your track if you want a more punchy track. So let's basically what you have to do is you turn the drive knob until you reach the bomb icon over here. So first let's put it to -15, so that's the default setting, and I hit play, and I'll adjust this knob until you reach the 0, which is the bomb icon. Let's listen. Okay, and then you adjust the intensity, which is how much percentage of the track you want to be affected. So if you overdrive it, you can clearly hear the effect. You can hear it's pumping in the background. So I just set it to a smaller amount, like maybe 12.5 or 16. Listen to the kick. So without the bomber. Okay, and after that, one more plugin, which is Revival. So this is an exciter. So you have the thickness, which thickens the low end, and then you have shimmer, which adds upper harmonics in the upper frequencies. So it gives it a shimmer or nice air in the track. So I have my settings around 4, which is really light. Okay, so that's all for the virtual mix rack. So the next plugin that I used is the FG Red compressor by Slate Digital. So I used very light compression, maybe minus 1 dB of gain reduction. So as you can see in my settings, I have a very small ratio, 1.5. I have medium fast attack and a relatively slow release time. And I didn't adjust the settings here. So for the drive, 6.9 to give a little bit of saturation. Then I adjusted the threshold so that I get about 1 dB of gain reduction. So to show you, let's set it to 0 and let's play the track maybe from here. Okay, so it just basically glues the track together to make the dynamic range a little bit smaller. So it's very light compression. The last plugin that I used is the Maximizer by Ozone 8 Elements. So here, I'll explain to you a little bit about the settings. So for the ceiling, it's advisable to choose around minus 0.3 dB, because sometimes even if you're using a maximizer or limiter, you have some intersample peaks that go through. So if you have it too high, then you have a big chance that your track is gonna distort or clip. So you can set it to minus 0.3. Just to be safe, you could even set it to minus 1 dB. That's what I do. And the other thing that you have to do is you have to adjust the threshold. So if you lower the threshold, it's going to increase the volume and make your track louder. So I'm gonna talk to you about LUFS. So if we take a look at these settings here, so these streaming websites and like Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube, they have these levels of playback. So for example, if you upload a track on YouTube and it's louder than this setting, minus 13 LUFS, so which represents loudness units. If you upload a track and it's louder than minus 13, YouTube is going to normalize your track. It's going to crush your track and all your hard work's going to be lost because you're going to lose the dynamics of your track. So you should upload your track below this number. Okay, so for Spotify, if you're aiming for uploading to Spotify, then it has to be softer than this level, minus 14 LUFS. So what I do is I just set it to minus 14 so that if in case I upload to YouTube, then the same track would work. Okay, so minus 14 is the setting. So if we go back to the project, you can set your plugin to learn the threshold. So I'm gonna enter here minus 14. Okay, so that it's ready for YouTube and Spotify, and I'm gonna play it at the loudest part of the track, and then I'm gonna hit learn threshold. So this plugin is gonna analyze the track and then it's gonna adjust the threshold automatically so that it doesn't go above minus 14. So let's do that. Okay, So when I turn off the learn threshold button, then the threshold remains at minus 4 dB, and then you're going to be sure that your level is not going above minus 14 dB. So basically that's it. Then your track is loud enough to upload. So let's listen to our track with and without the plugins that I use for mastering. Okay, from the beginning without the effects. And then I'll turn it on and off so we can hear the difference. Okay, so that's all for my short tutorial about mastering video game music. I hope you enjoyed my video, and if you want to check out the game, they have a demo and they have a Patreon page. I'll put a link in the description below so you can check it out if you're interested in trying out the game. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.